Perfect. I'm not going to give you all of this because it would take, I'll give you the TLDR basically. And in order to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time, is there anyone here who already knows who I am? Well, this is a public matter. Okay. So basically, I'm Stuart. I've been in the industry for about 10 years, possibly a bit longer, and my career beforehand was as a freelance creative, and as you can see, I did a lot of things in the creative sphere before finding games and realising that if I wanted to be really busy, then games was actually the place that I could do that, and I didn't have to skip around from one creative job to another because they all exist in one place in games. I'm going to be doing back and forth now. So this is where it all began for me, technically speaking, because I had tried to become a AAA artist in a AAA studio, basically applying my heart out and discovering that a lot of them wanted me to have worked on the game already. And so I thought, how can I do that? And it just so happened that I had a couple of friends who put me in the direction of someone who was really good at making games, but was, I don't want to say the rude thing that was said, but they weren't very good at art. So I was like, okay, cool, that makes sense. I'll team up with someone who doesn't want to do art, and I can do all the art. And what ended up happening was they just wanted to do programming, and so I did everything else, which is a trial by fire. And so after about 4 months, we created this game called Wolf. And after doing it's an endless runner mobile game, and after doing that, I kind of thought to myself, why am I killing myself trying to work for someone else when clearly I can do it for myself? So I created that pop power, and without giving any spoilers, here's how that went wrong. So essentially, I was what do you call it, like too boldly confident in the fact that I'd worked in my creative career, I'd managed to create teams, and I thought, well, if I can manage to create a team, a game studio is just managing creative people, and that is not the case. Although the creative side of things was a little bit easier for me, managing a programmer who was doing things with hieroglyphics was not anything that I could talk to them about or particularly understand. Further down the road, it became a benefit for me being able to think outside of code, but at the beginning, it was a real problem. So some of the big things that I did wrong in the beginning was trying to remotely manage a team that I had also never done before, and trying to manage a large team, which I'd also never done before. So there's some things that, like when you work for a company and you're managing a team, you're creating management roles, you don't pay attention to the fact that there's an entire structure that's built around you, and so managing that team is quite easy. Whereas when you don't have that structure, you need to create it yourself. If you don't do that, managing people is like managing cats. One of the other things that I did was I grew too big too fast. So I went from a 2-man team to a 20-man team in the space of 2 months, which I don't recommend. And also, this kind of also like coincided with the pandemic and all sorts of chaos. And at one point, I interviewed 20 people back to back over 2 days, which is really good for building a gut feeling for hiring people, but really bad on the social management. So some of the fallacies that I had was thinking that a bigger team would mean faster production, but what a big team means is more people problems. And then COVID and lockdown came in, and initially it felt like we were getting a production boost. A lot of my team were working part-time and doing customer-facing jobs, and some of them got furloughed, and a lot of them were made remote. And so for the first couple of months, we actually had a production boost, and I thought, we're going to come out of COVID with a game. This is insane. And then what quickly happened was the reality of the fear of and the mental strain of being trapped in your house and not knowing what's going on with the world and whether or not you should be working and whether or not you're going to, all of these terrible things like you have to now stay at home. And so a lot of my team had to basically just say, I can't do this anymore, I need to go. Some of them, like their family were getting sick, and some of them had actually come over to the UK to get to work. And were like, I need to go home, I can't stay here while this madness is going on. And then I had to manage all of that and decided that, I say decided, we had a lockdown baby, and that kind of puts a bit of extra added pressure on your life, and so I had to go find another full-time job. During that time, I basically took a year out. I'd been doing this for 5 years at this point, and I kind of thought that I had taken my shot. I tried, I failed, and now. And quite luckily for me, I spoke to a friend of mine who's an investor, and they said, actually, second-time entrepreneurs are less risky because you've got 5 years worth of mistakes that you're not going to make again. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just dust myself off and try again, I guess. And so I had to think about, like, what is it that I had learned over those 5 years and what did I actually have that I could take away? One of those things was I'd spent 5 years working on my own IP, so I have a very rich narrative world built, and the spreadsheets and documents for days. And then, I realized that I only really fail if I actually quit, if I stop. If I carry on going, then I haven't failed, I just need to learn what I need to learn to move on. Which meant I spent a lot of time looking at what my faults were, and some of those being that I thought I was a great leader, and it turns out I could be a great leader, but I hadn't quite figured out my management style. So I had to think about all of those sorts of things, and I had to think about what would be my motivation to keep going. Fortunately for me, I have a family, I have 2 kids, and part of my motivation is not just that I can do well and provide for them, but actually I have them growing up in this environment where they see someone chasing their dreams, and that's something that I kind of want to instill in my kids, that if you just keep going, you can probably make it. These are some of the other common mistakes that I learned about. Some of these I actually directly learned about, and some of these I've got from other people who are talking about failure, like I do quite a lot now. And so one of those things is trend chasing, which is where you look at the games market and you see all of these games that are doing really well, and you think, oh, we can make one of those, and we can make it better and stuff. But there's a big difference between chasing a trend and being a trendsetter, or looking for a gap out there that is something people aren't doing, and that might, so you're not fighting in this space of ideas that are already out there. Project hopping, which is quite different from fast prototyping or rapid prototyping. And that's where you go, oh, this is a good idea, let's do this. And then you, oh no, wait, let's not do that. I think we should do this instead. Oh no, wait, hang on, I've had a better idea. Whereas rapid prototyping or fast prototyping, there's many different names for it, is where you take 10 ideas and you try and make scrappy little things out of all of those, and then you throw it at people and go, is that, are any of these any good? And hopefully one of those comes back, or 2 of those come back, and you go, oh, there's something here, and build on that. Easy to do. A lot of people, because the barrier for entry for games is really low, there's lots of tools out there, so making a game seems to be quite easy. But making a game versus making a good game are 2 very different things. High failure rate, so the odds are stacked against us. 9 out of 10 studios fail, which I can attest to. And that's basically all of that. So here's where I start to pick up and start again. So I created Fribbly games, and I was quite fortunate that over the years that I've been doing this, I've met lots of other really great people, and Johnny and Roxanne up there, you can see, became my new co-founders. and we decided that I already had an IP, so we just need to figure out what game we need to build to deliver that IP. And I kind of, through this, realised the importance of having like some solid founders who are going to be there with you. In my first studio, I did have co-founders, but we weren't always aligned, and in fact that was one of the big problems we had along the way. Eventually, I ended up on my own, and so having two people who have got your back, especially if you're running your own studio, is quite useful. So there's some other things that I also do. I now do mentorships, like go around talking about failure and how you might get into the industry and stuff. I have done that through limit breaks. We might have done a limit break. I now tend to do it more on a personal level, just because limit break requires a lot of time. I have to squeeze people in. And throughout all of this, I also accidentally kind of managed to create Game Dev London, that you may have heard of, which is a community for games developers. This is not the space for that, but that's just one of the things I do. So takeaways, yeah. You do need resilience, and as I've discovered, a lot of naivety. There's a lot of stuff that you're never going to know until it hits you. And that's part of why I go around talking about failure, because I do think that you can learn a lot more from the things that are what I call studio killers. If you can avoid the things that will absolutely wipe you out, then you're going to kind of be in a better position. Network absolutely is. I'm possibly one of the most networked people that I know, but that would make sense because I'm me. I've been religiously attending networking events and making sure, I think like my entire studio, like both times, was built by me meeting people face to face. I did do, like I said, during COVID, a lot of back-to-back online interviewing. I just don't do that anymore. Do your homework. So I spent way more time second time round thinking and preparing before even laying down any code. Whereas the first time round, I just kind of went, here's a great idea, let's dive in, let's do that, and we all know where that ended up. Finally, just don't give up. If there's anything that I could bring, is that you just learn from whatever hit you in the face, however many branches you get on the way down. Just learn a better way of climbing might be a good takeaway. And that's me. Feel free to connect me online, and if you want to talk about failure or game development or